All right, guys, this is Lifting Titan with Realms Gaming. I wanted to do a quick video on kind of the breakdown process of this piece of art that I did for my Adobe Illustrator class that was due yesterday. We basically had to take a image of a animal and draw it with the pen tool in Illustrator. So let me go ahead and just hide all of the layers here for a second and show you guys the picture. So this is the picture. This is actually, she's my emotional support animal. Her name is Stella. She's a 7-year-old husky cattle dog mix. And we had just given her a bath and she was just looking really fucking cute. And so I decided to go ahead and draw her. So I actually did not start with the head and body. I actually started with her right ear, but just for workflow purposes, I will go through it the right way. So first thing, blocked out. You should block out the head and body. So if you guys look here, I actually did the head and the body in 2 separate layers. So that is just the head. And if you guys look, you can kind of see the fur that is there. And then the body layer, I layered on top of that. Then I went ahead and I did the ears, which if you guys look, you can kind of tell that if you kind of zoom in, let me take her picture out. You guys can tell that, the ears aren't exactly going to line up. So when I was doing this, I kind of thought, I could retrace every path, but that would take a very long time. So I actually did the ears in 4 steps. So the first thing I did was just her basic ear shape, which I did end up tracing for the most part. And then if you look here, right, I didn't fully connect it. I then did the outer portion of her ear, so the black part. And if you guys look, I did kind of curve it here, so you would get that depth in the ear. I then did her she does have technically pink skin in her ears, so I wanted to add a little bit of that detail. And then I went ahead and added the fur. If you zoom in, you guys can tell right here that actually I used a different color of black for both her ear and then her head fur. So with her being part blue heeler, she actually has probably 5 or 6 shades of bluish black in her fur. And I wanted to make sure that I showcased that in the artwork. And if we go over here to the left ear, we lock that layer. The left ear, I kind of did a similar thing. So I went ahead and did I did the base shape of her ear. And then I went in and I decided to do the inner layer. And then technically on her head, she does have tan on her right ear, but it's more prominent on her left side. So I really wanted to showcase that because that is a very unique feature that I feel like she only has. And then I went in and did the black on her head. And if you guys look to create, right, it's white here and then it's white here. And I kind of used the black to cover everything and really give definition to her fur. And then her ear on this angle, I actually did 2 separate ways. So I did the upper part there to kind of create the depth of illusion. That was really fun to do. And then it does actually snake through here and there is black on both sides, but just with her angle, I just wanted to showcase that a little bit so you really did get the depth in the artwork. Okie dokie. I then decided to, for the eyes were kind of fun. So let's go ahead and cover that really fast. So for the eyes, I went in and did it this way. So I actually wanted to start with, thank you. I started with the black fur that she has kind of around her eyes. And it's honestly not fur. It is just how her eyelids are. But she's so furry that it kind of looks like it's fur. And so I made sure that when I did the ears here, I kind of gave it that rounded look here, as opposed to this side, just with how her fur is on this side too. She does kind of round out her face here, as opposed to the other side. I then went in and added her blue and her brown, which, as you guys can see, it does kind of create that depth around her eyes. I then went in and added both pupils, which I just used the circle tool on that and true black. And then I added in the light highlights. So that was her eyes. Pretty simple there. I then went in and decided to do her nose next. So she does have a tricolored nose. And so I basically started with the black outline. I then decided to do the pink around it. And then to create the depth, and I was lazy with my anchor points. I could have went in here and really did that. But since I knew it was layered to create the depth, I did it that way. And like you guys can kind of tell already, there is a little bit of depth going on here, right? But I wanted to really make sure I got the depth on her face. So I went ahead and did the upper head portion next. So she does have a little gray cattle dog speckle in her fur that kind of runs down from the top of her head all the way down. Wanted to make sure I got that because that is a feature that she only has. And then I went in and did the full snout. Which this by itself, it looks good. You can tell it's a dog. You can tell there's some depth, but I really wanted to make it pop more. So for her snout, I did it in a bunch of steps. Let me go ahead and show you guys that. I went ahead and I actually started with just the black on her mouth, which, as you guys can see, it's a little sloppy right there. But I went in and then added fur under the nose. Not fur, but her little like black. She has like little fur black. That's black right here. I then wanted to make sure that her upper snout was more defined. So I kind of did that with the tongue. So if you guys look at how I did the tongue here, you can tell that I did kind of redefine this a little bit more and layered it on top so it was a little bit more clean. I then went in and did all of her teeth. So let me get those. So I got all of her teeth, and as you guys can see, that does not look good, especially like right down here. And so a challenge was to figure out how to get the depth in her jaw. So what I did is I layered her bottom like lip almost under the teeth to give that illusion of, she actually has teeth. And then that was pretty much it for the snout. So then you guys can see I have a pretty that looks like her. That looks like Stella. But I wanted to go in and add a lot more detail to kind of give her more depth, make it look more realistic. And so I then did the upper snout. So as you guys can see, looks much better. She does kind of have some silvery gray in her snout. So that looks really good. That added a lot of depth and realism. I then went in and did it to the same thing to the lower snout. And I believe it's the same color gray. If you guys look at the lower snout, right? So the lower snout was kind of fun to do because I basically added her actual chin here, right? Which is technically her lower lip. So it created more depth, like her snout's coming out at you. And then I went in to add the fur around that. So, basically keeping the gum line there, because, right, her gums and lip technically is going to be there. And then to create the fur and kind of how her fur does go up around her lip here, I added this gray. And then finally, I added some more details on her face. And if you actually zoom in on this, it's actually two different colors of gray. So I actually used a more blue gray here for her blue healer. And then for the other details, I went in and used a more warm tannish blue, tannish green, actually, um, gray, because she does have spots of tan in her. She's really pretty. And then basically, even though she had her collar was not on in the bath, so I didn't have to worry about that. And then to create the depth in her fur down here, I added a swath of that tan and then a swath of that blue gray. And that is it. And that is how I got Miss Stella Girl. I did also save a color palette on this. Where is it? Come on, open. So for Stella, guys, I did do a full kind of color theory on her. And as you guys can see here on the color wheel, a lot of it is mostly, for the most part, in a line here. Even with her fur and some of like the browns and tans, it's all pretty much right here. And it is contrasting pretty much blues and reds a little bit, which is why it looks really, really good. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.